Hey, LeGrandAlive.tv, glad to have you with us. I'm Brent Clapp, owner and operator of LeGrandAlive.tv, and our sponsors today are Northwest Furniture and Mattress and Grand Ron Hospital. And it's a pleasure to have Clay Winton with us today.
Hi, Brent.
From Crosshair Customs. And you are a gun manufacturer local here, right?
Yeah, just moving into the area. We'll be up and running by the first of the year.
Okay. And where are you based out of right now? Or where are you moving into?
We'll be moving into Baker City, right up on Windmill Road, about right next to the freeway above Chevron.
Okay, great. So tell me your life story in a brief thing. And clearly, you know, you if you're a gun manufacturer, how did you get into that? But tell me where you were raised, and I don't know, give me the scoop.
Okay, well, that's a long, convoluted question. Started off over in Idaho. We moved here to Baker City area when I was 15. My family's into ranching. I started commercial fishing the same year. As soon as I graduated high school, I left and did that full time. Ended up buying and owning an operation. Started working on guns more and more for people, and eventually that kind of became more profitable than fishing. So I sold out of fishing and went full time into guns. So now we're kind of at the antithesis of that, where now we're opening into full-on manufacturing. We'll have employees. It's a big warehouse, and a bunch of machines running all the time.
Well, cool. Well, let's go back a little bit into your story. So when did you start commercial fishing?
When I was 15 years old.
Wow. And how did you get into that?
My dad used to do it when I was really little. I was actually born in Alaska, and some family friends called and offered me a job when I was 15. And I kind of took it and ran with it. I worked for them the first year. The next year I worked for them and another guy, and did 2 different fisheries. I was able to stack them in the summer in between school, and kind of kept going at it from that, adding more fisheries in. And as soon as I graduated, I got in with a group of kind of crazy guys, and we worked about 11 months out of the year, just from one fishery in town to the next.
Wow, cool. And so now you're married.
Yep.
You have a child.
Have 2.
Where did you fit that in?
She's a crazy woman that put up with me. Met her while I was back one year, and pretty quick she moved in and started just running the house while I was gone. And then, lo and behold, we ended up with my daughter, and ended up married in the middle of all that. And so she started coming out on the boat with me all the time.
Wow.
She's done crab fishing in the Gulf of Alaska with me. She spent 2 years on my boat with me. She's followed me all over the place.
Wow. And she's a Baker City girl?
No, she's from Emmett, Idaho, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I was living in Boise at the time when I met her. I ended up with property in Boise 1 year on the off season. The way life goes.
Yeah. So then, what finally brought you to the point? Now you had a fishing boat or fishing equipment. What did you?
I had the whole operation. Had a boat, gear, and then was leasing a permit.
Okay.
And it started to kind of fade. They run in cycles, and it was on the low end of the cycle. And partway through one season, I realized I was making more money sitting in town fixing guns than I was out running the boat and everything else. So and that got kind of old after a while. I did it for 11 years altogether, and so it started to get a little old. The best part about not fishing, I haven't thought I was going to die recently. That's kind of a fun side to that.
Yeah.
So don't miss that facet of it.
Yeah. Well, so then what brought you? I mean, so then you sold your gear, and what did you buy? How did you get into the gun stuff?
I bought an old gunsmith shop who he had a stroke and was pretty much catatonic. So I bought his entire shop from his son out of Hermiston.
Wow.
And so it was 5 horse trailer loads worth of stuff and a flatbed for the big machines. And I should have mentioned that in the story. Part one winter, after I had kids and was looking for something a little more stable, I went back to school to be a maritime engineer. So that kind of gave me the machining background, and then jumped more into the gun side too, of actually being able to make stuff and actually build parts from scratch and all that.
Okay.
So I do have a full machine shop in my house.
So now, did you grow up with guns as a kid? And
yeah, they were always around. A lot of memories of my dad's pellet gun when I was a kid, out shooting stuff all the time. They had property even when we still lived in Idaho. So I'd get home from school and go dink around out in the field with a rifle. It was always just kind of what I was into. I never was into video games or any of that.
Huh.
And just kept up with it.
So what is your specialization? Do you have a particular direction for your gun manufacturing?
We're definitely going full bore into the AR-15s. We're also going to play around with suppressors a lot. There's a lot more awareness of those coming up right now, so that's wonderful. The market's really opening up on them. There's been more research in suppressors in the last 2 years than there has been in previous history.
Okay.
So that market's really moving along. So it's something I have a lot of fun with. So, well, who doesn't want to save their hearing?
Yeah. Well, cool. So then how did you learn about AR-15s? Along the way, how did that happen?
Bought my first one when I think I was 18 and just always messed around with them. I mean, they're every grown man's erector set. You can do anything in the world with them with a couple basic hand tools. So just kept messing with them. And there's some unique things that an AR-15 can do that a bolt gun can't even dream of when it comes into recoil mitigation. So a fun one on that, like a 458 SOCOM, is ballistically identical to a 4570, like the gun that all the old buffalo hunters used. Big old Herkin round, going heavy grain bullet, not going that fast. It's been a favorite of every big game hunter, anyone going after grizzly bear, anything like that. It's been the old standby forever. Well, we can fit that in AR-15 in a smaller case. It has 1/10 of the recoil and it holds 14 of them. Wow. And it'll work flawlessly out of a little gun that's 1.5 feet long. Wow. So you can't compare that to any bolt gun. There's not a bolt gun out there that can compete with that. So I have 3 of those that are all carried by guides in Alaska at this point in time, that are little short stubby things because they can pack them anywhere. There's nothing that small with that kind of horsepower available. A lot of people put ARs into the category, oh, it never has a purpose hunting, and I highly disagree with that. You can take the hottest, meanest AR-15 out there in a real hot caliber and let a 5-year-old shoot it, and it won't hurt their shoulder one little bit. They have almost no recoil. That's one of your biggest advantages switching over to a semi-auto platform is you get rid of recoil for the most part. You have huge recoil mitigation.
So now, for those that we don't have shells here, but tell me the difference between a 30-06 that people have always shot and the shell and the bullet of a 30-06 compared to like an AR-15 round, because people get that confused.
Oh, massively. Yeah. So like on a standard AR-15, their chamber notes 223. So it would probably be 1/5 of the horsepower of a 30-06. It's a 55 grain bullet traveling at a little over 2,000 feet per second. Where a 30-06, you're more in a 180 grain bullet doing a lot closer to 3,000 feet per second.
So there's a lot of fear around AR-15s, but they're about 1/5 of the power of what many people have in their closet.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're not a high horsepower round. There's some of the interesting stuff you can get into with them, like that 458, but it's a short end brush busting type round. It's the lever gun of our grandfathers that they would use. That's what it's closer to than something like an .6 or even a 308 is massively more powerful. There is AR-10s, which is a scaled up version of an AR-15 that's based off a 308. So it can handle that, which then you're getting into a little more horsepower. But your average demonized AR-15 isn't legal to hunt big game with in most of the states. It's underpowered. Right. It's a great coyote round.
Interesting. Okay.
So there's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay. So I had never thought about. I mean, I have many guns, many rifles and pistols, because I grew up hunting and so on and so forth in Wyoming. But you're right. It's not like a bolt gun. You put a scope on it, you maybe put a sling on it. I mean, there's not a lot of customization to it. And so I'd never thought of the appeal of an AR-15 and how all of that customization. And is that part of what you guys are aiming for with what you're marketing?
Yeah, we carry over 2,000 different parts for ARs alone that anyone can switch over in their home. Like on your bolt gun, the biggest reason you can't like just go swap a barrel in it or anything is you run into a headspace problem and the gun can literally explode on you. And you have to have a full machine shop to adjust that. In AR-15, it's preset by the way the barrel extension interferes with the bolt so that you can't screw that up. There's almost... You'd be really hard pressed to find a way to hurt yourself rebuilding an AR-15. If you torque everything to at least minimum spec, it's pretty much impossible to get into trouble with them. I mean, it's a very simple platform. They were made to be taken apart by the lowest common denominator out in a muddy battlefield. That was the design behind them. So everything's simple. Everything's generally speaking, brutally efficient. I mean, they're just an amazing little gun. What they'll do, you pack them full of mud and the darn thing keeps shooting. It works great, on a battlefield, and it works great if you fall down a hillside while you're out hunting too. So, and sub-zero temperatures and everything else. Like your old Ruger bolt guns are real famous for getting the firing pin channel packed full of dirt, mud, anything like that, then it freezing and the gun won't go off.
Huh.
So you won't run into that on an AR. Totally different design.
Interesting. So for somebody like me who, you know, I think I've shot an AR 15 years ago, but that's the most experience that I've had. Well, you know, and they can be expensive, correct?
Yes, they absolutely can.
Right. So tell me, where would you suggest somebody like I start? I mean, where is the threshold for being able to even get into the AR-15 world?
Well, the threshold for getting into it would be you can find ARs in the $500 range. They're bare bones, basic furniture, just something they can run out the door. And that market is changing dramatically right now with our new president. For the last 8 years, you've been able to sell an AR-15 based off the fact, hey, I have one, somebody might want to take it away. Fear-based marketing has been a lot of what the industry's gone to the last 8 years because there was some truth to it. The next 4 years are going to be really fun because we actually have to sell on the merits of our gun now. So like our base model is starts at $850, and our nearest competitor for our accuracy guarantee, the style, the reliability of the gun is in about the $2,000 to $3,000 range right now. So we get to have a lot of fun now because the industry still hasn't caught up to that yet. It's been, you know, big corporations can't shift immediately. Where we're a little company, we have all kinds of fun. So we have a couple that we have, let's see here, 2 different models under $1,000. One has a 1-inch guarantee at 100 yards. It'll shoot under a 1-inch group with standard ammunition at 100 yards. Our other one has a 1/2-inch guarantee. That was the realm of custom target bolt guns 10 years ago. So, and we're doing that out of a cute little coyote gun.
Wow. Well, that sounds interesting. And when you say manufacturing, what part of the gun are you manufacturing?
So we're manufacturing the upper and lower receiver completely in-house. The barrels are made to our spec by another company, but every single one's tested and every one of our guns is tested before it leaves. So we're outsourcing all the other components right now, our trigger groups, the buffer springs. For the stocks, we're going through Magpul, one of the biggest manufacturers in the country for that. They make phenomenal stuff. So right now we're outsourcing everything. We'll bring more and more stuff in-house as time goes on. But for being a startup and just trying to get things rolling, that upper and lower receiver, there's so much that can be done there. That's where we're focusing our energy at the moment to get everything up and rolling.
Cool. And all of this in Baker City, Oregon?
Yep.
So 5 years from now, how many people do you think you'll employ?
Well, we'll see what the market does. We'll probably be close to 30 or 40 by then, depending on what level this goes to.
Right.
It'll be, I'm really curious to see where it's going to be in 5 years. We're going to find out if we're going to sink or swim or not. Right. Which we're doing some fun stuff that we have probably a year before anyone really catches up with us in this market. Just because they won't have time to pivot yet to jump into this exact same sphere.
Okay.
So that'll be an interesting thing.
Well, cool. Clay, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks LeGrandLive.tv for tuning in. Thanks again to our sponsors, Grand Ronde Hospital and Northwest Furniture and Mattress, and we'll see you next time.